Rare stuff. You know it, you want it, and Doors is definitely no stranger to it. This game is absolutely massive, in case you couldn't tell, and that means it's full of events that are tied to probability, a lot of events. If you recall, a while back I made a video going over theoretically possible events in Doors, features that are so rare that realistically nobody could ever come across them. However, they could still technically happen given enough luck and time. You all seem to really like that video, so here I am again with a sort of part 2 to it. We will be looking at theoretically possible features in Doors that are even rarer than what I mentioned in that previous video. And trust me, things are going to get pretty crazy here. I'll start with the most common of the rare stuff and make my way to the absolute most impossible events in the entire game. We have got a lot to discuss today, and not a lot of time to do it. So with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so the first rare event I want to go over has a 1 in 4 million chance of occurring. I know, I'm saying the chance right now. And even though that's incredibly unlikely to ever encounter realistically, it's the most common thing I mentioned in this entire video, so do keep that in mind as we progress. Essentially, each room you enter has a 1 in 2,000 chance to spawn Jack as a jump scare entity. Each room also has a 1 in 2,000 chance to spawn Shadow, who functions exactly like Jack, they just look a little different. Jack is more of a face and Shadow's more of a humanoid shape. Anyways, to my knowledge, Jack and Shadow aren't mutually exclusive, meaning theoretically they could spawn at the same time. To calculate the probability of this, we just need to multiply the chance for Jack to spawn with the chance for Shadow to spawn, and that totals a 1 in 4 million chance to encounter both entities in the same exact room. That's already extraordinarily rare, and there are no documented cases of it occurring naturally, but as I said, it only gets rarer from here, so let's move on to the next event. For this next theoretically possible event, we have to go back to the Halloween 2025 event. I know it's already past Christmas and we're talking about Halloween, but just stick with me here. During this event, players could obtain the Candy Bag, a special item which when used could spawn up to 5 completely random candy items. The thing is though, there existed 46 unique candy items in this event, meaning the chance to get a specific one was 1 in 46, obviously. Theoretically, it's possible to get all 5 of the same candy from the candy bag. However, for that to happen, that 1 in 46 chance would have to be multiplied by itself 5 times. This means the total chance of getting 5 of the exact same candy in the candy bag is 1 in 205,962,976. I know, quite a mouthful, but it could be rounded to 1 in 206 million. Now, that is already pretty insane. However, this next event makes us take a detour from the Halloween event to the April Fool's event. During the 2023 Super Hard Mode April Fool's event, the library was altered to be more challenging. Instead of needing to put the normal 5-digit code to escape, you needed to enter a 10-digit one, meaning you'd have to find at least 10 different books, which could be quite a hassle. Anyways, each digit of the code could be one of 10 unique numbers, meaning the chance for it to be a specific number was just 1 in 10, not too rare. However, if all 10 digits were the exact same number, then that 1 in 10 chance would have to be raised to the 10th power, meaning for the entire code to consist of solely one unique number was an event that had a 1 in 10 billion chance of occurring, with a B. This is where we end our theoretically possible events with completely defined numbers. As the next ones have such a low chance of happening, it's pretty much impossible to grasp their odds completely. Now, we'll be moving from this April Fool's event to something which many of you probably forgot about, and that is the Stream Integration Modifier. This modifier was very unique, as it allowed any live stream chat on YouTube or Twitch to add status effects into a streamer's playthrough. These could be anything from giving the streamer a bunch of items, or just making an entity spawn. Anyways, every so often during a run with this modifier active, a series of 8 different status effects can be voted on by the stream chat, and the 2 highest voted ones are selected to actually be applied to the run. There currently exists 64 unique status effects that can be applied onto a playthrough for the chat to vote on, meaning the chance for a specific one to appear is 1 in 64. For all 8 voting options to be the exact same status effect, you would have to raise that 1 in 64 chance to the 8th power. This means the chance for this event to occur is 1 in 2.81 times 10 to the power of 14th, an absolutely insane number which solidifies this event as practically impossible to ever witness normally. Moving on, the next theoretically possible event I want to discuss has us traveling to the electrical room, which as you may know is the final room of the hotel. As a part of the final boss fight, the player has to complete a breaker puzzle. A sequence of 10 numbers will be presented to you which you must insert correctly into the panel. Each number in the sequence can be one of 10 numbers, with no repeating numbers. This means the chance of getting a specific sequence is 1/10 times 1/9 times 1/8, and so on until you eventually get 1 out of 1. This leads to there being 362,880 possible sequences players can obtain. Now, as you may know, 3 distinct sequences are provided throughout the entirety of this breaker puzzle, meaning that the chance of getting the exact same sequence 3 times in a row is that 1 in 362,880 chance raised to the 3rd power, or 1 in 4.8 times 10 to the power of 16. That is only the second to last rarest thing on this list, as the next theoretically possible event is straight up impossible to ever find. To encounter this, we will need to travel to one of the most challenging areas in the entire game, the Nest, the midway boss fight of the mines. If you play the Nest on multiplayer, a maximum of 6 anchors can spawn. Each anchor has a 3-digit code that needs to be input into it in order to eventually escape, and each digit can be one of 10 different numbers. This means the chance of getting a code with 3 of the exact same number is 1 in 1,000. Still somewhat rare, but not, like, impossible. However, if all 6 nest anchors were that exact same 3-digit code, with that code containing the exact same 3 numbers, the chance of encountering it would be 1 in 10 to the power of 18. Just so you know, that is a 1 followed by 18 zeros, and that's how many nest playthroughs you'd have to encounter just to have one of these 6 nest anchors have the same 3-digit code containing only a single number. That is an absolutely wild statistic, and it marks one of the rarest events to occur in the entire game. Anyways, those were a bunch of theoretically possible events indoors. The most common event here only had a 1 in 4 million spawn chance, and the rarest one, as I had just described, had a 1 in 10 to the power of 18 spawn chance, which is a 1 followed by 18 zeros, an absolutely massive number, and quite large compared to the original rarest thing which I mentioned, that only had a 1 in 4 million spawn chance. Anyways, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments if you know any more incredibly rare events indoors. The stuff in this video was quite rare, in fact impossibly rare, but I'm sure features with even more impossible odds are hiding within the game's cracks, just waiting to be discovered. So with all of that being said, thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed.